Good evening, welcome to this week's edition of CopaLoadofRacing, where we will be looking forward to the final day of Royal Ascot, and we'll also have a look at the very competitive card at Ayr, which they're racing there tonight as well, but one of the big meetings of the year, Scottish Sun Race Day I think it's called. So I'll focus on two of the races there as well, picked out a couple of horses that I fancy to run well. So how's your Royal Ascot going so far? But hit and miss for myself. I must. Calix winning on the first day was positive, but Batash getting beaten in the King's Stand really was downheartening. There was also Wednesday was a write-off. Thursday again, we've seen some great performances out there, that's for sure, particularly today with Alpha Centuri in the Coronation Stakes, winning that very impressively, breaking the track record as well. So hats off to Jessica Harrington, dual purpose winner, dual purpose trainer of course, so winning things like the Champion Hurdle and the Irish Grand National, and then managing to win a Group 1 at Ascot as well. So just confirming what a great trainer she is, but anybody that follows racing would really know that anyway. Well done to her. Cracksman obviously getting beaten as well was a bit of a surprise, but you know, it's been good for Frankie Dettori and John Gosden. Godolphin have had themselves some winners as well. Jim Crowley getting, you know, hitting the crossbar a few times, until his victory today with Iqtidar in the Commonwealth Cup. I had backed Sans Amali in that race. I've been following that horse pretty closely since its 2-year-old form, and I thought it would run really well today, and it did run a blinder. I just wonder if it was in the wrong side of the track. No complaints at the end of the day. Iqtidar won it well, but yeah, you just think, what if, you know. Another big, in Scottish terms, a massive run by Sir Chauvelin in the final race today, the Duke of Edinburgh Stakes, for Jim Goldie and the team. Danny Tudhope took the ride, and he was unlucky, it has to be said, that this Dash of Spice, the Ellsworth horse teaming up with David Ellsworth's horse running the great colours of Lock Song, of course. Sylvester de Souza, another jockey that's in fine form as he always is. How he doesn't get some of the top rides is, as we've always said about Sylvester, but he ran well. You know, he's won it at what, 72. You know, if you got that price or even longer odds, it was a lot of money went that horse's way and it won like a favourite. But Sir Chauvelin, you just wonder if he maybe didn't get knocked about going into the home straight. He may have got closer. Danny Tudhope's had to come right round the field and launch his run, and it just took him a bit of time to get going when he did get clear, and you could see him coming and coming and coming, but at 33-1, back to each way, so that was good, but yeah, good for Jim Goldie. He'll be delighted with that performance. Of course, we're used to seeing Jim down there at Royal Ascot with the likes of the late great Jack Dexter and Hawkeye the New, of course, in years gone by, but Ascot's always been a kind course for Jim. Nicholas T, who I'll speak about later, won there of course last season at the Shergar Cup. So plenty to look forward to going forward to the final day, of course. I'm actually going to pick the last 3 races on the card. In actual fact, I'm giving the Cheshireman in that a miss at Ribblesdale as well, and I'm going to focus on 2 of the sprints, the big Diamond Jubilee race, the Wokingham, which is one of the big sprint handicaps of the year, and then the final race, the traditional, the Queen Alexandra, to end off proceedings at Royal Ascot. We'll look at that, and as I say, we'll look at 2 races at Ayr. There's also racing tomorrow at Perth, and I was trying to think, actually, it's very unusual for 2 of the 5 Scottish racecourses to run on the same day. We've had, I remember there being an afternoon card and then an evening card at one of the tracks, and maybe I remember there was meeting at Musselburgh, and there was an evening meeting at Ayr on the same day. But to actually have them racing on the same, okay, I know it's at Perth and it's over the jumps, and at Ayr it's in the flat, and it's not going to have an effect in any of the attendances at the two, but it'll be big work there for the likes of Scottish Racing and so on to be at both tracks. But the racing at Perth, it looks pretty decent. I had a wee skim through the card this afternoon. Nothing's jumped out at me, and that's why I've not picked anything out for the vlog. Summer jumps racing is not one of my big things. I know they have the big card at Market Racing later on in the summer, but I'd like to just stick to the flat, especially the sprints, which I love to get involved with. So let's look at one of the big sprint Group 1 races of the year. That is, of course, the Diamond Jubilee Stakes, which is off at 4:20. Harry Angel is well thought of here. Ran really well at Ascot last year in the Commonwealth Cup, if you remember. Finished behind Caravaggio. Caravaggio's never really produced anything from since then, but Harry Angel certainly did, going on to win the July Cup and then winning the Sprint Cup at Haydock, and has done well on his return at York, winning there. But his form at Ascot isn't the greatest. He'd lost it there at the Champion Sprint as well. So because of that, I think it's there. He's currently training around about 11 to 4 at the moment. Merchant Navy, Aidan O'Brien's horse, which won the Greenland Stakes at the Curragh, is certainly on the short list. There's no doubt about that. That's currently around about 4 to 1. But last year's winner was, of course, the James Fanshawe trained, the Tin Man, who, different to Harry Angel, the Tin Man loves Ascot, particularly when the ground's as quick as it is. He's currently around about 8 to 1 some places with the likes of Bet365 and Sky Bet, and he had a prep run at Windsor, which he won, a listed race, so that's set him on the right path. We know James Fanshawe, with some of his sprinters, the likes of Society Rock in the past, Deacon Blue, he certainly knows how to get these horses spot on for these big Group 1s, and you know, he's still 6, still pretty young for a sprinter. Tom Queally gets on really well with him, and I think he has a real outstanding chance at a nice juicy price at 8 to 1. Another horse that does like this track is La Breeze, who came back from Maidan, where things, it's fair to say, never worked out, but he did win that Champion Sprint at Ascot back last October. It was soft ground that day, of course. It's going to be completely different tomorrow, but if you're looking for a horse, La Breeze is around about 12 to 1, if you're fancying it, but I'm going to go with the Tin Man for that. Now after that, it's the same distance in the Wokingham, the 6 furlong Wokingham, one of the big, probably the 3 big sprint handicaps of the year is this race, the Stewards Cup and the Ergo Cup, of course, I would say, the triple crown of handicap sprints, I would say. Now, in terms of what we have in this, it's a deep enough race, as you can imagine. It always is, this race. There is one in here that could be, it's a 4-year-old that could be disguised as being as we always say in this race. I remember Laddie's Poker 2, was it, landed a good thing in this race a few years back under Jeremy Cedar trained it. Johnny Mutter was on board, and yeah, there was a lot of money went towards this horse in the build up to that race. Dreamfield is coming back to this race after a massive absence, and that's why people think this is a group class horse hidden in this type of field, you know, and that may turn out to be the case. He's around about 4 to 1, 72, which is very short for one of these handicaps, but we've seen that with you know, the David Ellsworth horse winning the last race today. You know, 72 in a big field handicap such as the Duke of Edinburgh. It can happen, but in terms of value, Richard Fahey has been unlucky a lot of the times this week. He's had loads of winners elsewhere, and he's still in cracking form, and he's got a few darts to throw at in this race. He's got the likes of Mr. Lupton, who I think won last time out. Mr. Lupton. He's got the likes of Brian the Snail, now owned by Godolphin, I'm sure. That's in this race. I think William Buick takes a ride on that, and that won last time out at Donny. But Growl, I remember this horse a couple of years ago being well thought of at the Ergo Cup, and he ran really well behind Brando, who went on to be a Group 1 horse. Growl then followed that up and ran an absolute belter of a race in the Champion Sprint at Ascot. Now, the way you can look at this with Growl, I think he's a horse that I think the ground isn't a major issue. I don't think anyway. That's just my own opinion. But when you look back in his form, he didn't have a great 2017. That's for sure. I agree with that. Had some disappointing runs in there, but he was running in some high class company at times. I backed him in the return run at Chester, at the Chester May meeting. That sharp 5 furlongs, that very tight 5 furlongs, but he finished behind Catchy, who of course ran in the King's Stand, ran Batash close in the Temple Stakes, and he just, you know, Catchy blew the stalls, bang, on it, out like a bullet, and it was very difficult for any other horse to catch him. And the best of the rest was Growl, without a shadow of a doubt. So I think he's got a decent chance. He's run at round about trading best price 16 to 1 is Growl for that race. The other Richard Fahey horse that I'll just make a note of at the moment, at a bigger price, around about 25s to 1, and Sebastian Woods takes off a handy £5 as well, is George Bowen. Now, good old George Bowen, I say old, he's 6 years old, which isn't old, but he just seems to be about for years. George Bowen ran really well at Goodwood last time out, I thought, under Sebastian. He was a favourite that day, but prior to that he had one at York at the May meeting, the Dante meeting, and he's this season he's finished, came back at Naas, I think it was, under Tony Hamilton, but then he ran at Newmarket in April, finished 4th, Donny in May, finished 2nd, won at York in May, and then finished 2nd at Goodwood in May. So he seems in good heart, and at a big price he could run a really good race. Now, draw is quite important. George Bowen's drawn 21, and Growl is drawn in 20. Oh, right, he's right up against the fence, I think 29. So they both stand side. Sans Amali was there today, and I just felt, but I think sometimes it depends where the pace is really in these races. Is there a bias? I don't know. You know, you look at one of the races, Sylvester de Souza ran, kept to the rail, it was the Simon Christopher horse, kept to the rail, belted it all the way, kept on and hung on to that near side rail and won. So I'm not needing too much of that, to be fair. But George Bowen and Growl, both Fahey horses there to take note of. Now, in the last race, the Queen Alexandra, Oriental Fox isn't in it this time around, for Mark Johnston. He usually always targets this race. He won it last year, Oriental Fox. I think he's now retired, Oriental Fox, surely. Right, now there's Thomas Hobson's in this race. He is short priced at 11 to 10 with the likes of Bet Victor in this conditions race, but there's quite a few runners in it. Won the Ascot Stakes last year, and then ran very close, finished behind Oriental Fox in this race last year. so is well thought of. Again, Willie Mullins has got quite a few in this race, as he does in these you know, stamina handicaps or conditions races at Ascot. But that's too skinny a price for me. And with some of the bookmakers probably offering, maybe some of them will be offering 4 places possibly in this race, maybe not, but anyway, I did think about Renetti, the other Mullins horse that Andre Zini is on. That's about 20 to 1. Didn't want to get running, refused to start over hurdles earlier this year. Has run pretty well, put up some good performances on the flat, but you are really dependent on what type of mood he's in. Now, I'm going to go all out on one in this. It's currently trading at 33 to 1, and it's Colin Tizard, of course, Cheltenham Gold Cup winning trainer. It would be a great year for him as well if he gets a winner at Royal Ascot. And I'm going to go for Tempest 8 Floresco. Tempest 8 Floresco, if you want to say it fast altogether. Now, Charlie Bishop takes a ride, and this horse has never ran on the flat before, so he's making his flat debut. Now, I'm plumping here for how well he ran in very quick ground at Ludlow back in October last year, where he won a race over a similar distance there over hurdles. Yep, I know, but it was a class 4 handicap hurdle. It wasn't one of your big, you know, hurdle sort of, you know, shall we say, one of your big handicap hurdles that's run throughout the year, sort of like an Aintree hurdle. Well, not an Aintree hurdle, that's a grade 1. But, you know, it's not a Betfair hurdle, it's not an Imperial Cup as such, or a county hurdle, or a Coral Cup, but it's a win over quick ground. Who knows, he may take it. We seen him actually last time out. He did run recently at Worcester and finished 4th of 9 in a hurdle race there, and that was in good ground. So anyway, the corrections just maybe want a day out at Ascot, but hey, he won well. Right, let's turn our attention to Ayr. 2 races there, great wee card, as I say. I'm sure there'll be tickets still on the gate if you're fancy going along, or to Perth, as I say, there's racing there. Decent good ground, flat ground there for the big day, and the weather looks to be not bad tomorrow, bit cloudy, but it'll be dry, great. So 2 races I'm going to look at there. We're going to start with 3:30, the Scottish Sun on Sunday Champion Handicap, this 1 mile race. Now, I said earlier on about Jim Goldie and Nicholas T winning at Ascot. Now, Nicholas T comes into this race. He's a 3-time course and distance winner at Ayr. And prior to his run at Redcar recently, he wasn't in the greatest of form, I would say. But he's kind of returned back to some level of decent form after that performance at Redcar. So he seems to be turning in the right direction, and I'm going to side with him here in this race. He's probably going to win it. I think he's currently best price, Bet365, priced at 92. Joint favourite at the moment with Balestra, the Tim Easterbury horse. Tim Easterbury in phenomenal form, is great as well. And yeah, it's an open, competitive handicap, as you would expect, class 2 handicap, but Nicholas T, I think, could run very well. And Jim's in good form, you know, he had a winner at Hamilton this week as well, so that bodes well, I think. Right, looking at the next one, we're going to look at this listed race at Ayr tomorrow. It's the Scottish Sun British Stallion Studs EBF Land of Burns Fillies Stakes over the quick 5 furlongs there. And I was looking at, originally I was looking at Sandra's Secret for this race. He's on a 4-timer if he wins tomorrow. he's a Les Ayre trains at Davy Allen's on board, and he's currently about 4-1. As I say, this mare's been running really well this season, and is targeting its 4th win of the year, and loves good ground, as it's shown already at the likes of York and Ripon. But Mick Channon doesn't send up a horse up north of the border lightly. It's a big journey for the man. He's a great supporter of Scottish racing, I have to say, Mick. He's always, when he sees an opportunity, because the prize money's very good up here, he will make that effort and send up a horse. And he's sending up Trixie Spirit, who, this filly won at Bath. It's another horse that's been pretty on the go so far this season. Obviously, Mick feels the filly's in good heart, and should, why not, target as many races as possible. And as I say, won at Bath, then some reasonably fair performances until I thought it ran a really good race recently at Sandown, and that was in a listed race, and it finished behind Hadaf in that race, over 5 furlongs again. So it does like the fact that the quick 5, and I think Trixie Spirit should get well. Sometimes I'm not saying there was any real issue with its performance at Sandown. Like sometimes in the 5 furlong sprint track at Sandown, there's a lot of unlucky issues. You tend not to get that as much at Ayr, and you know what I mean, it's not a massive field, so I don't see it being a problem. Sometimes a lot of the horses like to run up the middle of the track. It'll be interesting. Tonight I'll look back over racing replay tonight, with the racing at Ayr, and have a look at where they are running there. Of course, in the usual round course races, they all stick to the far side rail, and in good ground I don't see it being any difference. But Trixie Spirit is my tip, currently running about decent 8-1 mark. They're having, as I say, got nearly winning and getting some black type, but winning the listed race at Sandown. But okay, that's 5 races I've looked into and given you my thoughts and tips on them. As I say, racing tomorrow at Ayr and Perth, Scottish racing wise. Across the country there's racing at Redcar, Newmarket, as well as Ascot and Lingfield at night, Haydock at night. And further to that, looking into the week, I think I said this last week, but it's actually this week that the Saints and Sinners night is at Hamilton Park on Thursday night, and the weather's meant to be really kicking in this week in terms of the heat building and the sun shining, so it'll be good to return to that weather as we've seen throughout May and into early June. So that'll be great, and I'll keep those clerks of the course busy across the country, getting those tracks watered and what have you. But I'll be back next week previewing all that. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what's on next week. Is it Northumberland Plate time? I think it might be at Newcastle. So that's always another big handicap race that I like to get stuck into as well. But hope you enjoy your racing, enjoy the last day of Royal Ascot, and if you're off to Ayr or Perth, have a belter of a day. Hope the keeps dry, which it's forecast to do, and I'll see you next week. CopaLoad of Racing.